DeMar DeRozan is officially done with this season and maybe the Chicago Bulls even, after a heartbreaking loss to his former team, the Toronto Raptors, in Toronto at the Scotiabank Arena. I'm your host, Joey Mercer. This is an episode of Bulls Digest, and just before we get into it there today, I just want to say that about 97% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed, so make sure if you're watching these every single day to go down below, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and you will be notified whenever we upload. You won't even have to search for it anymore, and that will be every single day. We're even pumping out 2 videos on some days, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. So, without further ado, let's get right into the video today. We have the final tourney game of the season. Yes, so unfortunately, after last night's loss, we've lost every single tournament game, and the way things go with the bracket, we are officially eliminated from in-season tournament play, and the Chicago Bulls will just remain playing regular season games and no in-season tournament games. The Toronto Raptors, however, were already eliminated after a loss to the Bucks, so they really didn't even need to win this game either, but they seem to put in more effort than they have in the majority of the games so far this season. Was it a personal vendetta against former Raptors player DeMar DeRozan? It's really hard to say, but it certainly seems so with some of the antics that were put up by Scotty Barnes after DeMar DeRozan was ejected and taunting him, which is not a good look for the young potential star. So the first thing I want to bring up is, we did lose 121 to 108 against the Raptors in in-season tournament. As you can see, once again, got off to a really slow start, and we were down 36 to 22 after the first quarter, and then really remained with them for the rest of the game pretty well. In this game, they had 12 more assists than us. We still aren't moving the rock enough, and when we do, the players are not hitting the shots. The only person on the bench, as you will see down below as the points, rebounds, and the stats of players come up on the bottom, that we did not have anybody perform well off the bench besides Patrick Williams. He had a good game last night, shooting 4 for 8, and DeMar DeRozan, although he shot 7 of 16, which is perfectly fine, he did finish the game with a minus 31, which was the worst on the team by far. Lavine with a great game last night on 16 of 23 shooting. We only got out-rebounded by 3 rebounds over the game, but nobody on the Bulls finished with double-digit rebounds. Vuce was the top with 8, and then we had 2 people on the Toronto Raptors in Pascal Siakam and Jakob Poeltl finish with 10 rebounds apiece. Just not good enough on the defensive end for the Chicago Bulls, and we have simply got to be better on both ends of the ball as we get off to such a slow start every single game. It needs to be right out the gates. We can't be playing catch-up every single game when it comes to the regular season, now that we are officially eliminated from in-season tournament play. So, DeMar DeRozan was very upset about this game. With 3 seconds left and a 12-point lead over the Bulls, Siakam attempted a 3-pointer. It would have made sense had Toronto still had a chance in the tournament, as the Raptors could have been vying for a better point differential. But by then it was too late, and DeMar DeRozan let the Raptors know. The Bulls All-Star began yelling at Toronto's bench following the shot attempt and was slapped with his second technical of the night, immediately leading to his ejection. So, DeMar DeRozan very upset after this game, and it's an unwritten rule in basketball, but you certainly do not take a shot when you're up by 12 points with, not very much time to go. Siakam, that is not professional on his end, and Scotty Barnes afterwards taunting DeRozan, as I've previously mentioned, also not professional as his end. I don't personally have an issue with the Toronto Raptors. We beat them in the play-in game last season, and I just don't think this was a good look for them. It looked really unprofessional, and I really think that it makes me look a little bit differently at the core of this team right now as we head into a game with them in January, I believe on the 18th. It's going to be a different look for sure. Now, DeRozan, he was very frustrated this game, which leads us into our next topic for today, which is DeRozan frustrated. And rightfully so. The Bulls have been losing, not putting in a lot of effort, and he's really been the one with, a lot of headlines over him. It's him, Lavine, and sometimes a little bit of Vooch. Vooch has been kind of swept under the rug a little bit as he has played solid as of late, but he has been up and down, and it seems to be he just isn't getting a lot of shots, which you can't blame him, but he has also allowed a few rebounds, which he definitely should be getting, and Drummond has been doing his thing on the rebounding end off the bench. But DeMar DeRozan, as of late, as I mentioned, a minus 31 last night, has just got off to a really rough start. He's frustrated with himself, and he's frustrated with a lot of the young guys, and he's frustrated with the way that people are treating this team. Zach Lavine, as we've previously mentioned in a different video, walking off the court after a comeback win over the Miami Heat and not saying a word, and that really hasn't been addressed besides saying that Billy Donovan talked to him and the front office did, but we haven't gotten any news on that. So what really is going to come of that situation? So the next thing that I saw was, I don't care about no in-season tournament points, none of that. I just want, or just the respect for the game, DeMar DeRozan said post-game, DeRozan acknowledged he knew it was a tournament and in theory point differential counted, but he wasn't having it as an excuse. Because, before I read the next quote, they were already eliminated, so it does not matter. Everybody was yelling at him, score, 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 take the win, get out of here, DeRozan said. If roles were reversed, needing in-season tournament points or not, just for the respect I have for my opponents, I hold the ball, especially if there's no shot clock. That's just me. And I have to agree with DeMar. I mean, it is just respect for the game. I agree. I really respect him for saying when it comes to an in-season tournament game, he doesn't care about that. It's respect for the game, regardless of point differential. We saw Embiid take a shot, which people didn't like, but that had to do with the in-season tournament. They were still in play to win the in-season tournament. However, when it comes to the Raptors and Siakam shooting at the bench doing that, what are you doing? I mean, you're out of the in-season tournament already. There is no point to run up the points in the game when you already have the win in the bag and you're just basically trying to embarrass your opponent and really rub it in. There's no respect there, and a lot of love lost for sure between the two sides, and more love lost for DeRozan for the city of Toronto after that game, or at least the organization. So that leads me to the next point of he did get ejected. He started to pull the jersey up, walk towards the tunnel, really seemed, throughout the whole game. There was a point where he was on the bench after getting a foul, very frustrated, throwing things around. We have seen him in the past rip his jersey while he was on the Spurs and just on the Bulls, I believe, last season. But this was a different DeRozan this game, super frustrated. But as he leaves and he walks towards the tunnel, you see him with a familiar face of Masai Ujiri. He daps him up on the way out. I'm not sure if this was just a sign of respect, but we haven't seen a whole lot of DeMar DeRozan and Masai really getting together or talking as of late. Is there something that we don't know behind the scenes between DeMar DeRozan dapping up Masai Ujiri? We don't know, but definitely there is some speculation there, as we haven't heard anything between the two sides. Could DeMar DeRozan be going back to the Raptors? I'm going to say no. I don't think the players and him really get along, especially after last night. But Masai Ujiri might have something up his sleeves, as he is known to make some big moves when it comes to pushing for a championship. He is not a guy that likes to go for a rebuild. As we know, the Toronto Raptors haven't gone one since losing Kawhi Leonard and have tried to stay competitive ever since, and they've done a solid job of doing so. However, DeMar DeRozan going back there, I don't think that is going to happen. I don't think it's in the cards, and the Chicago Bulls will maintain their superstar in DeMar DeRozan. This has been Bulls Digest. This is your host, Joey Mercer. I can't wait to see you in the next one. Make sure to go down below, like the video, comment on the video, and subscribe to the channel. We're doing this 7 days a week, and this is me signing off.